How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you would like to be on the program, I'd be very happy to have you. I want to go on and take a phone call here from Alan before I move on to other stuff. We'll get back to the Iran situation later. You can stay up to date with the show notes and the emails and like. If you text Eric to 33777, click the first link and subscribe. But Alan, I do want to start this hour with you. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Oh, great. Just one brief, quick point. This country is so blessed to have your spiritual intent and insight, and that you try to get it right. And on occasion, I might see something a bit different than you, but your intent is always right, and that's all you can ultimately have in the end. It's very obvious, but to the point, this is a war about the choice of Christianity or Sharia. It's about freedom or being controlled. It's the darkness and the light, and we either, sadly, like Israel understands completely, we crush them, or we are ultimately over time at the mercy of them. And one other quick point, I know you got many calls, so I'll make this easy. They signed their death certificate, Iran did, indirectly on October 6th, when through Hamas, they killed 1,000, give or take. They took plus 200 hostages, give or take, whatever the numbers. And when they did that, Israel said, hey, we're going to straighten out Gaza. We've got to deal with some other details. And then we're going to have to deal with Iran. And we are in the same boat. We got to deal with them, or we're indirectly always at the mercy of them. You got to finish it.
Yes.
Very simple.
Yeah, look, that's well said. And I don't know that. So, Alan, this is now I'm going to get distracted from where I was going, but this is worth it. And I appreciate the kind words here. Y'all, listen, I know my audience and the demographics of my audience. And so I understand this. And so you might not understand those who don't, and they don't understand you. That's a convoluted way of saying this point that I keep making, and it's just something that you've got to process here. If you believe, and again, it's the week after Easter, it's the perfect time to talk about this because you need to understand the dynamic that's happening here. This isn't an opinion. This is very much informed by all the conversations I have, the things I read in the news and elsewhere, the politicians I engage with. If you really, truly, like I do, believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, if you believe it. So in the book of Hebrews, in the hope of the resurrection, what the word hope means, and the best translation you can get, is the profound certainty of the resurrection. It's not a wishful thing. It's not a I hope I win the lottery. It is the profound certainty of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. You truly, genuinely, honestly believe it. You need to understand that at the elite policymaking level in the United States, on the Republican and the Democratic side, none of them really do. Well, I shouldn't say none of them. A lot of them don't. So they look at you privately as a little bit nutty because are they a Christian? Yeah, okay, they believe, but it is not the thing that shapes their life. Now, what does that have to do with any of this? Because the Iranian regime really, truly, and genuinely believes that there was a Mahdi who disappeared. and he will come back. And it is their job to set the stage for the Mahdi to reveal himself. And guess who the Mahdi is going to come back with? According to the Iranian theocratic belief, Jesus. Jesus is coming back not as the God-man, but as a prophet to pave the way for the Mahdi. They really, truly believe that it is their fundamental philosophical raison d'etre, the reason for being. God put the Iranian regime in place to bring about the apocalypse, and they fundamentally believe it. It is core to everything they do. Now, if you're a secular Western elitist who kind of laughs at those of us who believe in the actual real bodily resurrection of Jesus Christ, you can't relate to those people either. It is an abstraction to you. It's an abstraction. And if it's an abstraction to you, it's not real, it's not concrete, it's not something fundamental to your core. Well, you're going to negotiate in ways that you would never negotiate if you understood you were dealing with people who fundamentally believe their job is to bring about the apocalypse. If you're negotiating with people who are really people of ardent faith, and you are not a person of ardent faith, you're not going to be able to understand those who are. This, frankly, comes up with me in business dealings with people who don't understand my faith and people who are like, oh, you should be more worked up about this. This should make you angry. You should fight for this. I'm like, God's got this. God's got this. It's going to work out the way it's meant to work out. And by the way, it always has. And people get really aggravated with me when they're like, no, you got to go in there and you got to be prepared to go nuclear. It's not my personality. God's got this. And so I see in my own business dealings and with things in my life that people who don't share my faith to the degree they have it, they look at me like you're leaving money on the table, you're missing out, you're doing something, you're a fool, you're weak, you should be strong, you should defend yourself, whatever. I'm like, I got God in my corner. Things are going to work out the way they need to work out. It's the same with the Iranians. They really believe that Allah is on their side. And they really believe that they have a mission on this planet. And we are a Western, increasingly secular society. And as a Western secular society, we are losing our ability to understand people of ardent faith. It's very much like the Obama administration when they decided to sue nuns and thought they could get away with it and didn't realize how radicalizing it would be for a lot of Christians who went in mass in 2016 to vote for Donald Trump because they may not recognize Donald Trump as a believer or in the church, but they understood that Donald Trump was not at war with their faith the way Barack Obama was. And fundamentally, there were people in the Hillary Clinton camp and the Barack Obama camp who thought, you know what, there's no way this guy can win. He's going to be alienating to Christians. And the Hillary Clinton campaign literally did argue that they should, behind the scenes, do what they could to advance Donald Trump's nomination in 2015, 2016, because they understood at the end of the day, there's no way evangelical Christians are actually going to support Donald Trump. He will split the base. And you know what happened? Barack Obama decided to sue a bunch of nuns and target Christian ministries around the country for discrimination and other things, and it radicalized evangelicals. They're like, we don't care what he believes. We know he's not going to do that to us. And they ran to the polls and they voted for him. In the same way, when you engage with the fundamentalist Iranian regime, you've got to understand they believe that it is their purpose in life to bring about the apocalypse. They believe Allah put them in charge of Iran to wipe out the Jews, to pave the way for Jesus and the Mahdi to come back. You can't negotiate with the regime like that with those beliefs in the way you would another Western society or even, frankly, a communist society that has no belief in God. You simply can't do that. If you don't understand that, if if you can't understand that, you have no business trying to bring about any resolution in the Middle East. Because the Sunni Arab partners are not shaped by that fundamentalist belief. And so many of the people who deal with our Sunni Arab partners think that the Iranians are just like them. They're not. They're a different branch of Islam. They're the Shiite branch of Islam. And it is theocratic. And they believe they're put there by God. And they believe they have a purpose and a mission. And that is why they're here. And everything they do is to carry out that mission. I've told you the story before. Let me tell it again in case you're a new listener here. The former Spanish prime minister wrote in a biography that he went to the Ayatollah Khamenei, who's now dead. Went to Iran for a state visit. And he went into the room with the Ayatollah, and the Ayatollah was in the corner making tea. And he went over to the Ayatollah, and the Ayatollah said nothing. And the prime minister of Spain tried to engage him in conversation and asked him a question I now don't remember, and the Ayatollah really didn't respond. And so then to get a sense of him, the Spanish prime minister said, "What do you wake up in the morning thinking about?" And the Ayatollah stopped stirring his tea, and he turned and looked the prime minister in the eye, and he said, "The destruction of the Jews." Why? Because he believes God put him in the position that he is in to destroy the Jews, because the Iranian regime believes that you must destroy the Jews to bring about the apocalypse, to bring about the return of the Mahdi. And it is baked into the equation when you're dealing with the Iranians. The only way to stop the Iranians from trying to acquire nuclear weapons, because in the words of the Ayatollah, Israel is a one-nuke nation. Another quote from the Ayatollah Khamenei, Israel is a one-nuke nation. He might have said one-bomb nation, but he meant nuclear weapons. One nuclear weapon launched to Tel Aviv would wipe out Israel. That's why they want nuclear weapons, because they want to wipe out Israel, to start World War III, to bring about the Mahdi, because they believe they win. If you can't get that through your brain, you shouldn't be negotiating with the Iranians. Then the people in Washington, D.C., at the elite levels, Democrats and Republicans, a lot of times they talk about their faith. A lot of times they do. But they don't have sincere and ardent faith. And to the extent that they have it, they don't appreciate the Islamic faith of the Shiite regime in Iran. And they're fundamentally incapable of negotiating with those people, because those people are willing to lie and do whatever they need to do. In fact, it is one of the tenets of Shiite Islam is that they're allowed to lie. Christians aren't supposed to lie. It's in the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not bear false witness. You're not supposed to lie. Within the Islamic regime of Iran, part of their theological belief is that they can lie to the infidel to advance the mission of Allah. So the Iranians will sit in a room with you and lie to your face and agree to do things they have no intention of doing. And in their justification and rationale, it's to advance the mission of Allah. To lie, to advance the mission, is actually to be faithful to the cause. They believe that. It is actually fundamental to your understanding of Islam, and particularly Shiite Islam as practiced by the Iranian regime, to understand that the Iranians will lie to your face because they think if it advances their mission, it is faithful to Allah to do so. Whole books have been written about this topic. I'm not making this up. You can go read Unholy Alliance by Michael Youssef, one who grew up in Egypt, who writes about this, how it is part of a tenet of the Iranian faith, of the Shiite leaders, to lie to the infidel to advance the mission of Allah. Subterfuge and surreptitiousness, they're allowed to do it. And it is why the Iranians ran circles around Barack Obama. And as of right now, it looks like they may be wanting to run circles around Donald Trump, which is why President Trump is 3/4 of the way through finishing the job. He should get back in there and do it. Welcome back. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan of the New York Times are two well-sourced reporters at the New York Times. People just don't ever believe me when I talk about the president does call Haberman and Swan, and he actually does. For as much as he may attack the New York Times and them, he's old school, grew up reading the New York Times, and those are the reporters he likes to talk to. They've got a new book that's about to come out about headed into war and the president's foreign policy. And what's so notable is that it is very clear the president wanted to strike Iran. And in the excerpt of the New York Times, a lot of people have interpreted it as Benjamin Netanyahu led the president into war, and they're blaming Israel for it. But when you actually read it, the president was looking for an excuse to bomb Iran. He wanted to bomb Iran. He wanted to wipe out their nuclear capacity. He's been wanting to do it for 40 years. And Benjamin Netanyahu gave him the intelligence to show him that they could strike Iran and decapitate the leadership. And the president went for it because the president had been wanting to do it. Israel did not induce us into war. They just provided the president the timing and opportunity to do it. It's very clear. What's also very clear is J.D. Vance wanted nothing to do with it. And what's so interesting about the reporting is how every single person, it seems like, read the report in the New York Times, the excerpt from this book, and they're like, yep, the Vance team's leaking. And that seems to be the consensus that whenever the president does some sort of foreign engagement, whether it's Venezuela or with Cuba or with Iran, a lot of people point the finger at the Vance team for any leaks that contradict the president from inside the administration. And he's trying to navigate. He is at heart an isolationist. And I just laugh at this, that every single time now there's a leak from inside the administration that contradicts the administrative lines. Like, well, it's the Vance team. I don't know that he really cares, but it's funny to me how many people are rushing out every time something happens to say, oh, it's Vance. I don't know that it is. But he is the isolationist in the administration, along with Tulsi Gabbard, who, by the way, was yet again shut out of any conversation about Iran, just like she was out of Venezuela, just like she's been out of every major foreign policy issue. And she's the D&I. That's amazing. Let me tell you about Vision Computer. If you're building a computer, you want a new computer, Vision Computer, they can take care of you. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. They can build you computers, and not just build you computers. Vision Computers can be your world-class tech support solution where you get a special phone number, and in 15 seconds or less, some human being is going to answer the phone and help you. So if you've got a small business, you can't afford an in-house IT guy, so you got to use an outside vendor for your managed IT service. A lot of them are switching to AI chatbots. Vision's still keeping human beings in place, and your team will benefit. They'll get somebody on the phone in 15 seconds or less, and they'll troubleshoot their problems, their issues, answer their questions. Among other things, they can, help you with email support, printer support, help you get servers set up, whatever you need. 404-COMPUTE or VisionComputers.com. 404-COMPUTE, VisionComputers.com. Tell them Eric sent you. You might save some money. 404-COMPUTE or VisionComputers.com. Hello, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be happy to have you. But before I get to any of your phone calls, I've got a special guest, Elliot Stovall with the Filter Project. Elliot, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well, Eric. How are you today?
Doing well. So, folks, the Filter Project is a great nonprofit that is helping a lot of people in parts of the world get access to clean water, which Elliot and I talked last year about this, and the numbers he gave me were kind of staggering, that a lot of people have to spend up to 25% of their income just to get access to clean water, which we know is necessary, beneficial. A lot of places don't have access to it. So, Elliot, if you would mind, tell people about the Filter Project.
Yeah, so the Filter Project is, like you said, a water ministry. We use the Sawyer 0.1 hollow microfiber membrane filter. It's a long word, but it lasts for over 1 million gallons of water, or up to over 20 years for the average family. And it'll take everything out of their water that can make you sick, such as bacteria, viruses, protozoa, eggs. And it just attaches to a 5-gallon bucket with a hose. It's super simple. And we use this in Kenya to bring clean water to the families. But we also use this as a evangelistic tool to share the gospel because we kind of say we're providing water and he's providing the living water. And and so that's what we do. Every family that gets a filter actually will receive 3 follow-up visits from our missionary team. It's a team of 2, a man and woman, who work Monday through Friday. And at these follow-up visits, they make sure the family knows how to use the filter, number one, and that they're cleaning it, which just takes a simple back flush. But then they get to spend time talking about the gospel and discipling these recipients. And again, that happens 3 times over a 6-week process.
Well, one of the things that really struck me about what you guys do with the Sawyer filter is there are a lot of projects delivering water to parts of the African continent, which people forget is ginormous, and yet a lot of them involve digging wells and complicated projects. And this is actually a pretty easy no-brainer. You can go. Get water from available sources regardless of purity, use this filter with a bucket, and it gets rid of the bacteria, parasites, cysts, microplastics, everything. It's kind of an ingenious low-cost system compared to some of the hundreds of millions of dollar systems that a lot of major nonprofits deploy that can't reach as many people.
Yeah, so on average, a well costs $8,000 to $12,000 to dig, and just in my research and talking to other ministries that are digging wells, is that even sometimes those wells fail because of the pump fails or the solar panel fails, and then the people are left without clean water. But our system, in order to sponsor a family, it's a one-time $55 cost, and they get the bucket, the filter. They actually get a deworming medication, and then that pays for the missionary to conduct those 3 follow-up visits. And a lot of people say, well, why do you do these follow-up visits? Why are these important? And the main thing is with a well, you're creating a relationship with an entire village or a lot of families, where the filter creates a personal relationship between our ministry, our missionaries, and this family over the assessment time, where we assess the area, we ticket the area, we do a group distribution, and then those 3 follow-ups. Well, at the first follow-up, about 50% of our recipients are using the filter. But by follow-up 3, over 97% of the families are using the filter on a daily or weekly basis, and all of their waterborne diseases that they have lived with pretty much most of their life are all gone and eradicated after that 3rd follow-up. Wow. And so it's like you said, it's a low-cost system. It's easy to use. It doesn't take any engineering degrees to figure it out. I can figure it out, and I'm not that smart, so anybody can figure it out.
So how did you get into doing the filter project?
Yeah, that's a fun story. I'll cut it down a little bit and just kind of give the high notes, but I came out of the insurance consulting world. I've always been in sales, always been consulting, and that's just kind of what I've always done. But in 2024, I started looking for ways that if my well at my home was to fail, that I could have clean water for my family. And, water storage is bulky, it's expensive, and it doesn't last that long. And then there's all these other different devices that, like the Life Straw or other charcoal filters. But the problem is you have to buy new charcoal filters. And so in a state of emergency, you can't just run to REI or to, the store or order on Amazon these charcoal refills. So I was like, man, I need a portable, easy to use. And so I found the Sawyer filter and I bought one for my family. You can buy one. They're about $50 on Amazon. And then a couple months later, I met a pastor from Kenya who came to our church to just tell about what he's doing in his ministry. And I asked him, I had the pleasure of going to lunch with him. And I asked him, I said, hey, what's life like in Kenya? You wake up, what happens? And he said, well, we have to go gather our water. And I was like, okay, I get that. I said, well, how do you clean your water? And he said, well, sometimes we boil it, but we always don't have the financial resources to purchase firewood or charcoal to boil, that much water every day. I said, oh, gosh, so you're drinking dirty water? And he said, yeah, we do. And I said, well, don't you get sick? And he said, yeah, we do. And I actually lost one of my sons before the age of 1 to complications of typhoid. And Eric, at this moment, at this lunch, I heard what I would describe as the Holy Spirit just speaking to me. And I heard, fix this. And I bought Cristiano one of these filters, sent him back home to Kenya with this filter, thinking, hey, God, heard you, done it. Oh, I did a good job today for somebody. Now his family has clean water. And then the next thing you know, about 10 days later, I get a video of Cristiano and his family with this filter. And I'm just amazed by how something as simple that we take for granted. I mean, we wash our cars and we water our lawns with cleaner water than most people drink. And something that's so simple meant so much to this family. And the next thing you know, it was 50 filters. And then the next thing you know, I've started a nonprofit. And last year, which was our first full 12 months, we put out a little over 4,300 filters. So that's 4,300 families that now have clean water, all because of that one first filter in 2024.
That's amazing, and they're so reasonably priced too. I mean, and folks, by the way, if you're interested in supporting the Filter Project, if you text the word donate to 33777, I'll send you the link to the Filter Project. It's real simple. It's thefilterproject.org. And again, there's so many projects that spend a lot of money digging wells or pipelines and whatnot, and this is just the Sawyer filter connected to a bucket, and they can get clean water. And the other thing, like you mentioned, that I didn't realize until a while back is like the charcoal filters, the Sawyer filter lasts so much longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, one thing also that I think makes our nonprofit, our ministry, or the way we do our work different than some other ministries is we use data to back up everything we do and to create full transparency for the donors and people who partner with us. You can actually go on our website and look at where we work, and we have live dashboards that update every midnight that cover our campaigns. It shows how many people, how many families we've assessed. It shows how many filters we've distributed at the point, and it shows what has happened at these follow-ups, whether someone has come to Christ or how many people in that family we served. And you can actually click on the dashboard on one of these dots, which represents a filter, and see a photo of the recipient or of their family there. Wow.
It really is great work and having a major impact. So, folks, if you text donate to 33777, $55 donation is going to provide a household with one filter. And there's a donate button on the website when you go to the Filter Project. Now, so, Elliot, I know you got a family. How involved is your family with this as well?
It's definitely a family affair, I would say. Before this, so this is what I do full time now. I stepped out of the regular corporate space January of last year to run this full time. My wife Katie, she is my right hand on this. She helps me with all my marketing and all that stuff. Her sister is big in helping us with our website copy and all of that. And then my father, Tom, is a big help with it. And we've been to Kenya several times together, and he helps me with some of the bigger, larger decisions and the financial stuff just from his past of running a medical practice and being a physician. So, yeah, it's definitely a family deal.
Well, look, I appreciate you taking the time to stop by, and appreciate you having the inspiration to do this and the number of lives really just improved and saved by doing this. It's a good thing, and hopefully people get some attention. And folks, if you listen to the 24/7 live stream, you'll hear my promo for the Filter Project. Always happy to highlight good projects, and this is a great one to really meaningfully help people in a cost-effective way. So, Elliot, thank you very much for stopping by.
Eric, I appreciate it, and thank you for your work, and thank you for your voice. I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Elliot Stovall with the Filter Project. If you text the word donate to 33777, I'll send you a link back. I'll always try to highlight great projects for you guys. Y'all are so generous. I don't want to tax your generosity, but when I heard about this, and I talked to Elliot last year and had not actually heard of the Sawyer filter at the time and started looking at it, I was like, this is kind of a no-brainer. They last for a very long time. And they are very reusable. You do have to clean it on occasion, and they teach the families how to clean it. It's a very easy process to clean it, and it has had a meaningful impact on thousands of lives in Kenya in particular right now as they continue to expand. And just was really happy to promote the Filter Project. So if you go to thefilterproject.org or just text donate to 33777, a great cause to support, meaningfully benefiting a lot of lives, and also a way to share the gospel. Now, when we come back, I'm going to take your phone calls. We got people on the phones. I want to take those. We've also got a lot more to talk about, and I'll keep you up to date on the developments in Iran. Here is a fact that will blow your mind and is true. The Artemis 2 mission, sending 4 astronauts around the far side of the moon and back, cost less than it has cost California to not exactly build a high-speed rail system. We could actually do multiple more Artemis 2 missions for less than what California has spent and projects to spend, which is now upwards of $126 billion for a high-speed rail system that will never actually have enough riders to even cover the interest costs on the bond payments. Progressivism in action. Let's go to the phones, 877-973-7425. Shane in Jacksonville, Florida, you're going to be up first. Welcome.
Hey, man, what's up? First-time caller.
Welcome.
Good to speak with you. Yeah, so I was just, we're prior before the water filter guy, which that's a really good cause. I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, so I've been in the military. I was in the Navy. Don't want to get into what I did and all that, but I know that, like when Reagan came in, this thing with Iran it's really been going on far beyond 47 years. I was in high school with a girl. Her brother was killed in the Beirut Marine Barracks bombing. I was in the Navy, went in 86. So, you had Operation Earnest Will, Operation Praying Mantis, the Tanker Wars, all that kind of stuff that I think people forget about and that don't get highlighted. I'm also I live in Jacksonville. We have a naval station, Mayport here, and that was the home port of the ship that got hit by the Exocet missile, excuse me, from Iran. And I think all this, I don't agree with President Trump. This ceasefire stuff is going to be a lot of BS. These guys are going to sit back, they're going to go underground, they're going to reload, stack, reorganize, and it's going to be, something's probably going to kick off. I don't think we'll make a 2-week ceasefire, but if it were me, I'm sure a lot of people would say, well, why don't we just nuke them? Well, that's what they want, based on, what you explained earlier, which is, a great story. And I've read that book you spoke about. It was on a Chief Naval Operations reading list. But I think another thing people have forgotten, too, after 9/11, people don't understand that there were, Chief Naval Operations, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which, he wanted to, tactically nuke Tora Bora way back then. And people just don't understand that these people are, like you said, it's not about, fighting a few and coming to an agreement. There will never be an agreement until somebody buckles down and just keeps on pounding them until there's nothing left. And, I don't know why we're not airdropping. Yeah, I'm sure. And I know there's, from past experience, I know there's people on the ground over there. I don't know why we're not
there's gotta be,
airdropping. Yes. Yeah, I don't know why we're not airdropping, M4s in there, and if it were me, I'll tell you, this is how hard I am. If it were me, when we hit their leadership and they have their funerals, we would hit the funeral. There should be a no mercy.
Shane, I'm with you. I think we should. I got to let you go there. But to your point, by the way, you need to know that oil prices are now down below $100 a barrel, $95 a barrel. Brent crude to 94.85, West Texas crude at 95.02. However, the Iranian government has just announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz in contradiction to the President of the United States. The President's press secretary is literally right now at the White House telling people the Strait of Hormuz is open and has not yet been told that Iran has announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Why? Because of a massive Israeli attack inside Lebanon. What's so ironic about the juxtaposition here is that Carolyn Levitt, the White House press secretary, just said that Lebanon is not part of this peace deal. And now Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz again. And the president is now saying that the White House expects the Strait of Hormuz to be opened immediately or else. Wow. So we will see. We may be back at war by this evening, which would actually be the best possible outcome in large part because we absolutely need to rain hell down on this Iranian regime and arm the Iranian people. We do. We got to do that. Now, let me tell you about Old Glory Bank. In particular, if you're a veteran, if you are a first responder, you need to hear about this from Old Glory Bank. They would love to do business with you, and they have set up Old Glory Protect. It's a $100,000 line of duty death benefit for active duty servicemen and women, along with first responders and U.S. Border Patrol agents. Look, you don't want to think about the worst case scenario in life. I know it. But if something happens, you're going to want your family taken care of, and so does Old Glory Bank. You can find out more at oldglorybank.com/Eric. If you're a protector serving the country and communities, if you're in one of those roles, Old Glory Protect is free to you with an Old Glory Bank account and a direct deposit. All you have to do is register. It's a $100,000 line of duty death benefit for active duty servicemen and women and first responders and Border Patrol agents. Find out more at oldglorybank.com/Eric. oldglorybank.com/ERICK. You just need an Old Glory Bank account and direct deposit. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply. oldglorybank.com/Eric.